Good morning. My name is Christy Terry, and today I'm just going to talk to you about my goals as far as areas of growth that I'd like to accomplish as an instructional leader. So I'm the assistant principal at an elementary school in Jackson County, and looking at my PLC process this year, we have grown astronomically. I feel like our process this year is running much more smoothly than it has in the past, and so I feel like we're on the right direction. But there are definitely some areas that need additional room for improvement. So when I think about two goals that I'd like to see just run smoother, I would say goal number 5, which is develop teacher capacity to use formative assessment through supportive data, and then goal number 7, to develop and support PLC collaborative teams. And so when I kind of look at what's going on in these two areas, my formative assessment data, right now we are using MAP, but then we're also using iStation. And so those are kind of big pieces of data. They're not that unit planning. Both of those assessments are more adaptive and not grade level standards. And so our district also has common summative assessments, and so I would like to be able to use our summative assessments to then create formative assessments to move kind of our, move that tier 1 instruction along and have those data pieces. And so that would be that goal number, goal 5, to establish formative assessments collaboratively, and then to use that data to inform that instruction. And the way that I would do that is to work with our PLC teams to make those formative assessments together, so that there, of course, you've got equity whenever you do it that way, but then you're also kind of on that same page. And so it ensures that everybody's teaching those same standards and those same skills, and that we are checking and moving those groups along. Also train teachers to use formative assessments to inform their instruction and differentiate support for students, and really looking at that summative and formative assessment data to go, hey, where is that hang up before I move on and continue teaching? If 80% of my kids or 60% of my kids are not passing those formative assessments, like what do I need to do differently? And so I think having those discussions will drive that instruction along as well. And then I have different strategies that I would do in order to get teachers there and to get students where they need to be. Also, use that time in PLCs to analyze and use and actually build groups, and not anything huge. We've got something called extended learning time, and so right now our extended learning time is really based on, we differentiate their instruction per grade level based on their iStation data. So but again, I think if we kind of made that switch to looking at also not only iStation data, but also that summative assessment and quick formative assessments to plan those groups, you're still accomplishing those grade level standards. And it's not adaptive. It's not, we are meeting kids where they are, but it's like, how do we ensure that students are learning what they need to at their grade level? Because I think something that's happened to us in the past, at least at my school, is we have become so used to meeting students where they are. We are not, then we're kind of creating additional gaps in our instruction, because if a student is not, ready to learn a specific skill, we're not pushing them, even though, they're a 4th grade student and they're reading in a 2nd grade reading level. We, in the past have really concentrating on their instructional reading level. And so it's really like, how do we get them 4th grade reading material, but then scaffold where that, to get them where they need to be. And so then we're not creating additional gaps. So that's something that we've been really working on at our school, and we have actually seen a lot of growth this year so far by really just focusing on those that tier 1 instruction and those grade level standards, and then learning those appropriate strategies on how to scaffold students to get them where they need to be, instead of of working with them down at their instructional level. So that's just something that we have been working on. Also, communicate the purpose and benefits of formative assessments as a tool for student growth and not just an evaluation. So meeting with students and doing some goal setting, also thinking and being reflective as an educator is something that I think teachers need to work on and say, what's going on. But then also all of that would not be possible if you didn't have step 5, which is develop a trusting environment where teachers feel comfortable analyzing and discussing student data. So it's, they need to have that. Teachers need to feel comfortable in order to, to have those conversations and say, hey, my kids are not doing so well in my class. What are you doing in your class? And then also celebrating those wins. As far as goal number 7 goes, an issue that we have right now is, I call it, and I put it up here in the top, but it's that circle of influence, and it's established more apparent roles and responsibilities as to maximize time and planning. But that circle of influence, and what I mean by that is just staying on topic. And my staff and my teachers are amazing people, but they also want to say, this so-and-so can't do this because of, doesn't have parent support. They didn't eat a good breakfast, or maybe they didn't sleep well last night. And I know that there's lots of extenuating circumstances, but just trying to focus on what we can and can't control, and what we have influence and where we don't. And so just trying to move forward for that. If a student's hungry, feed them. If the parents doesn't have support, let's call them and see what's going on. And so that's a lot of that sort of thing. But also setting clear expectations. We do have meeting norms, and we discuss our meeting norms at the beginning of every PLC, or at least we did that probably the first half of the year. Now we pretty much just, we have them posted and we kind of refer to them and say, today we're going to adhere to our meeting norms. We do not use a lot of parking lot strategies, although we probably need to. So that's an area that I thought would be probably just an easy shift in our thinking, is to use a parking lot strategy. Maximize planning time by focusing on the work and stay away from excuses and conversations we can't influence. And so that's really just making sure that we have a goal. Like today when we meet, we want to accomplish this. And once we accomplish it, check it off and celebrate. And I think that's huge. Part of our PLC process, too, is we've been working on the new Georgia literacy standards. And so now that we've gotten some professional development on those standards, it's now building those units. And so a lot of we meet 2 days a week for a PLC. And so that Tuesday is typically more of a PL, and then our Thursday is definitely planning. And then we have a good bit of teachers that still want to meet with our instructional coach on Friday to finish up that planning from Thursday. And so that's been going very well. And then an area I would like to focus on is our instructional coach and myself are very heavy with facilitating our PLC work this year. And so my goal is for those team leaders from each grade level to really take on that work and facilitate that work. And so then they, they're invested in that work. And then, but that's kind of my plan. If you have any questions, let me know.